All right, we are live for another Travel Tip Tuesday here on my page, The Traveling Lucie. And today, my guest is Sam Opp, and she has her own blog. And in 2018, she actually left the corporate world to become a wanderer and travel full time, which I think is super awesome. So if you have ever wanted to leave your corporate world or leave your job and travel the world, Sam is the person to know. And we are going to ask her all of the questions to see like what made her take this journey and how she got there and how she's doing with it all. So I'm super excited to have her on here today. Thank you so much, Sam, for joining us.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Lucie, for having me.
Of course, yes. So I'm super excited about this topic and I really want to delve a little bit deeper into it, but I want you to explain to us just like who you are, just like introduce yourself, what do you do, and maybe tell us a little bit about your blog.
Sure. So my name is Sam from Find Love and Travel. On my website is Find Love and Travel. And back in 2018, I decided to quit my corporate job working for Canon USA, like the camera. And I also had to convince my husband to do the very same. And we decided to travel through Europe and Southeast Asia for a little over 2 months before we had to come back to the US for a wedding. But that's kind of how I got started. It was more so of a hobby and just a way to document my travel so everyone could see what we were doing. And it just kind of wound up turning into my business.
That's awesome. So how did you get started traveling? Like what was the spark that kind of led you to travel?
So I actually, even from a very young age, love travel. And it's probably because I grew up in Boca Raton, Florida, where everyone was able to travel except for me because my parents did not live in those gated communities. So I was surrounded by a whole bunch of people, children that were like going on these crazy vacations with their family. And I was like, oh my God, I want to go so bad. And even so the first trip that I actually took internationally was, I was 10 years old. It was to the Bahamas. And I really want to go back to re-experience it. But that was the first one. And then I didn't get to travel internationally again until probably 2011. Long time, my husband, boyfriend at the time, his mom wanted to give us a gift of being able to go away for his birthday. So she was like, where do you guys want to go? And we decided to go to Aruba, Mexico. So we went to Aruba. 2015, we went to Mexico, and then we applied for birthright in 2015 to go to Israel. So that was like, I consider Israel like my first like really, really abroad trip. But even growing up, like my main goal, I had never wanted to get married. All I wanted to do was go to college and then travel. Like it was set in my head, even though I hadn't gone that many places.
That's so awesome. And I feel like a lot of people have that mentality, right? Like a lot of people will say they want to travel. Oh, I would love to travel. I would love to do this. I would love to do that. But not a lot of people actually act on it. So the fact that you acted on it, like kudos to you first and foremost. But I love that you like kind of just stuck with it and you're like, I'm going to make this happen one way or another. So when you were in your corporate job, were you kind of just utilizing your free time, like were you doing like travel just that way, a lot of domestic travel, or what was that looking like?
Yeah, I totally was. So actually, right when I got hired, 2015, I started in January. I already had a trip to Mexico planned. We went to Cancun and we did a couple of trips. So it was me and my husband and then my cousin and his wife. So that's kind of how we got into starting it out. And then we would always utilize if there was a holiday weekend. So I would take the Thursday off and we would kind of take the Monday off to have that extended weekend. So I've always tried. And it's so funny that you say that because everyone does say like, I wish I could travel. I want to travel. And I look at them like, but you can, you totally can, because I'm not staying at luxury resorts or anything like that. There's tons of ways that you can. You just have to look for the resources. And if it's your dream, you could totally make it happen.
Absolutely. I think I've heard so many people reach out to me and say the exact same thing, which is why I ended up starting my YouTube channel when I actually had time to, which was during COVID when I was stuck at home. And so, it's really cool to hear that story that you actually had that aspiration and you made it happen. I thought it was actually funny because the other day or the other month, I actually saw one of my Facebook memories, right? And
Mm.
I've like in the past 4 or 5 years, I have traveled to 15 countries and 15 states, but I have a full time job and everything like that. And that I saw the Facebook memory, and it was like from 10 years ago, and it was like, all I want to do is travel Europe. And like, I'm just like, huh, like, look at that. That actually happened. But it was never like on my mind consistently. Like, I need to travel. I need to travel. I need to travel. Like, it was like obviously I wanted to travel, but I never thought that it was going to fit in the cards for me. So I think that that's really cool that you actually made it happen. Can you explain a little bit about like what that transition was like when you took that, how did you get to taking the plunge from
I
leaving that corporate job?
I will tell you. Let me tell you. So it started off when I got married in 2017 in September. We honeymooned in Hawaii.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
when we were there, I did not want to leave. I fell in love with it. We went to Kauai and Maui. And I've always loved photography. So I took all these photos, and these are iPhone photos. These aren't nothing fancy. And I decided that I wanted to share them. I wanted to start a page on Instagram where I was going to share them. But I kept it super secret. Like I did not tell anybody. I did not even tell my husband, but I was sharing these pictures on Instagram, and people started following, people started liking them. And then I was like, oh, what? And I started following this community on Instagram who were doing all of these things. They were traveling, they were doing like, and I was like, why am I not doing this? Like, this is my dream, this is my passion. And I'm thinking, life is so short and you only live life once. Like, why aren't we doing what we want to? So I was like pitching this to my husband. I'm like pitching him, I was like, but what if? But like, I'm like, but what if? But what if? Like, what if we end our life and granted, we lived at home with his parents. So we had a very nice cushion of money saved that we were saving to purchase a home because we got married. So it took a while of pitching him, and I went into this community like with all these people that were so supportive and asking any of my questions. And so it was Cyber Monday. I bought round trip tickets to Iceland. It was between Arizona and Iceland. And Iceland was much cheaper, and it only took one flight, and you could get there much quicker. And so that was the plan. We were going to Iceland. We were coming back. And I had been with Canon. I have nothing against the company. I still use their camera gear. I had been there for 3 years, and I was just like, what am I doing? Like, I was in the marketing department for social media marketing for the big business copiers. So like I was tweeting to you about why you should use genuine Canon ink for your printer. It's like very sexy. And I'm like, what am I doing? And so I talked my husband into like, I was like, we'll be fine. We have all this savings. Like, we're going to be okay. Even like if things don't work out, we're going to be fine. We come back home. We live at home. So I put in my 2 weeks, and we switched the round trip flight to go to Paris. And then from there, it was a very open itinerary. We planned to end in Thailand, where we would kind of decide where we wanted to go from Thailand. And it was basically, I just kind of felt like I just didn't love what I was doing. And I felt like I wasn't offering anything. And I was just so passionate about travel, and I wanted to share that with people.
I love that. So what does he do for work that he was able to travel with you?
So he also quit his job. He is in.
Oh, wow, that's a pitch for sure.
I know. It took me a very long time to get him into saying yes. And it just so happens he wasn't like loving the company that he was working for. So at first he was. So I mean, when I tell you, so I was pitching him from September until January. It was in January that he said yes, and our trip was planned for April. So from September to January, finally in January, he said yes, and then we started kind of planning, and then we put our 2 weeks in and went. So it took a little bit, but he also, he had planned once we got back to the States, he was planning to go back to work, and he works in telecommunications. So how we get service for the cell phone antennas, he manages how those projects go.
Very cool. So he does that now.
Yeah, and he does that. He still does that now.
That's awesome. I just love that you were just so passionate about it and you realized that you were unhappy and you're like, well, what change can I make to be able to do that? And I think that, a lot of people, it's really hard for people to take that leap of faith. And yes, it's always great when you have that little bit of cushion underneath you to be able to do that. And that's good that you have that. So did you start your blog right away? Did that happen before you quit your corporate job, or was that after your corporate job? Because you do have your own blog.
I do. I did start it before. I started at the very end of 2017, but I didn't do anything with it. I didn't know how to blog. I looked up YouTube videos and stuff, but I had no idea what I was doing. And while we were traveling, and I give kudos to the people who do this nomadically, like 24/7, and they're just like chugging out blog posts and stuff, because throughout our whole trip, I didn't really blog. I was just like immersing in it and experiencing it. So all of the articles that I wrote happened once I came back home.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I'm sure that they block time, like, okay, just gonna not do anything for this week or whatever it might be if they're doing it full time. But so what sort of traction did you end up seeing? Like, I'm guessing the blog is like your main source of income, right?
Yes, my blog is.
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, the blog is definitely my main source of income.
So how did that kind of evolve? Like, you obviously started it like just before you left, just a few months beforehand, and then you quit your corporate job, started the blog, or like started actually putting more information into the blog because you took your trip first, and then I'm sure you expanded on the blog once you got back from your trip. But how long did it take for that to kind of really develop as a stream of income?
Okay, so when we got back home, we had to go to 2 weddings. One was in the Hamptons out on Long Island, New York. The other was in Montana. And yeah, we did the Yellowstone.
I love Montana.
I know, it's so beautiful. So we did Yellowstone, Big Sky, and then we had the wedding, of course. So after that, my husband had his plan to go back to work, and I was supposed to also go back to work. And what had happened was I was applying for jobs, and we got rear-ended. So I got in a car accident, and I herniated about 3 or 4 discs in my neck, which prevented me from going back to work. However, it did give me a lot of time to learn about blogging. So, yeah, so it was because I was injured that I was learning about blogging. And even when that was, let's say, in July 2018, I was focusing, actually, I had believed that I needed to grow my Instagram in order for it to become a business. So I had put a lot of focus into that, and didn't realize until around mid-2019 that I really did not need to grow my Instagram to have a business in blogging. So I purchased a course because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I need someone to teach me how to do this so I could do it correctly. And let me tell you, had I purchased, because I was so cheap about not wanting to put money into it, because I wasn't getting paid. So it's like a lot of times when you're not making any money, you don't want to keep putting all this money into something that's a hobby per se. So, but had I just invested to begin with, I would have saved myself so much time, because still to this day, I have to go back and fix old blog posts. But anyway, just to kind of wrap that up, it wasn't until the very end of 2019 that I was like, that's it. We moved. So we decided to move to North Carolina. I took a travel agent job for a month. I was like, I love travel. Maybe I want to be a travel agency while I'm doing the blogging on the side. I hated being a travel agent. I quit after a month. We decided we were going to move to North Carolina. So
North Carolina. Mm.
So then, and my husband was okay with me deciding to blog full time. So I took it very serious, starting the very end of November. Of course, COVID hit, so that was a little bit, but I took a lot of time learning, and it was really like mid-COVID that I really started to scale. So actually, around July of 2020, actually even just before, so it was December, January, February, March. My traffic was skyrocketing. I was doing really well, and I make most of my revenue on affiliate links and advertisements on my website. It's doing really well. COVID hits, like everything dropped. I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do?
Oh no. That was actually going to be one of my questions, how COVID affected it. Yeah.
Yeah, it affected it. And then come around July, my traffic has never been higher. Like I feel like every month I'm hitting a new milestone. I still I pinch myself. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, I can't believe it's doing this. So
That is so awesome. And, so it's very interesting. It's like, it was almost like fate had it, right? Like you were about to get back to your job, which I'm sure, I don't know how you feel about that. Like that whole conundrum, how that even happened. But you're about to go back to your job, you get in an accident, you have downtime to be able to get into it. And then, you're ramping up a little bit more, and then COVID hits, and then you have even more downtime to get to know it. And it's just like a building your knowledge from it. Right.
mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because there are bad things that happen to us in life. Right. And I think that time and time again in my own life, and I don't know how this is for other people, but for me specifically, it seems that every time that there is something really bad that happens, it's like it always leads to something even better. And I'm just like, how is that a thing? Like, how is it that I can feel so down in the dumps, like the world is not on my side, and then all of a sudden it's a whole nother door that opened that I didn't even expect to open. And then it creates exactly what I needed in that time space. Right. So that sounds like that exactly what happened to you.
It is so true. And I say that to my husband all the time. I'm like, see, it's like it was meant to be. It's like the world was conspiring against me to make sure, because it knew that I wanted to succeed at doing something I was so passionate about. It's like the world just knew it. The universe knew it, and it just wanted me to do this. So it kept doing these roadblocks. It's like, oh no, Sam, you don't want to go back to work. You don't want to be a travel agent. You're going to move to North Carolina now. It's like, no, you're fine.
No, and I mean, I think that that's so amazing that you actually took that time, though, to invest in yourself, because I think that that's one of the aspects that people can really lose, right? They get down in the dumps and then they feel sorry for themselves, right? And then they just kind of do nothing, and they just become stagnant and they don't move forward, right? I started my YouTube channel during COVID. People thought I was crazy. They were like, why are you starting a YouTube channel about traveling to Europe? During COVID when we can't travel? And I'm like, well, I'm being the optimist. I'm like, well, people are going to travel eventually, and then it ended up pivoting a little bit because I started doing more domestic travel here in the US. And it was like, you just have to go with the flow sometimes. And I would have never expected to be like, where now my nonprofit, it's just insane to me that that's the fact. And I urge people to, if you're in a bad situation, try to find something positive that's going on and stick to that, and then kind of go from there. Because I think that there was a lot of people, and let me know what you think about this, that during COVID forced them to sit down and think about what they wanted to do with their lives. They were forced to sit down and think about it. And some people made some huge pivots in their life, and now they're reaping the benefits of that because it was just the right time, the right place, the right energy into themselves to be able to do those things. And it's been really inspiring to watch other people go through that same process, because I'm sure you were probably down in the dumps when your blog went downhill and you're like, what am I supposed to do now? How long is COVID going to last? And then all of a sudden it skyrockets and you're like, oh, okay.
I mean, I was like, is travel dead right now? What am I going to do? Even just on Instagram, what am I going to post? I have nothing to post. I'm not going anywhere. And we were planning to go to Germany, and just how you pivoted, I know, is so upset about that.
I know. I was supposed to go to Budapest too. And I'm like, you know what? Budapest will be there. It's
Yeah.
okay.
And I was supposed to be African. I was planning for my birthday African safari as well. I know it's very upsetting, but yeah, it is amazing to see how many people have pivoted, and especially kind of like the mindset of like of the USA of America. It's like it's that very go 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 go, and I think for a lot of people who did get to sit back and like it was people were quarantined at home and they thought about what should I do, and even in my own family and a lot of my friends have come up with so many different my one cousin, she's making mats, like doormats, and she customizes like something she would never do, and she's also a teacher, but like she has a cricket, and like there's so many, and people, and my next door neighbor, she had worked full time but from home. She makes the most beautiful custom wreaths, and it's like something she never thought she would do, but it's because people had this extra time to think about stuff that they love to do, whether it was being more creative in the kitchen or whatever that was. I feel like there was a lot of bad, and there's still a lot of bad to COVID, but for some people, they needed that second to kind of freeze and stop and really think about what makes them happy and things that they enjoy doing.
Absolutely. No, I think it's so valuable that people actually had that time to be able to stop and think about that. And I mean, I think that that's going to bring a lot of good to the world too, right? I think that, the more people that are doing what they're passionate about in this world, the better our world is just in general. So I'm so glad that you took that leap and that it ended up working out for you in this whole long run. Question. So how has Instagram fed into your business? Has that been a big part of it? Like, do you make money off of it? Like, how does that kind of add to your wanderer lifestyle?
So my blog is where I make, and it's what I love about my blog is that it's more so like passive income. So I don't have, I mean, the more I come up with the articles and I'm targeting them in SEO and everything, the more opportunities I have to grow. I was actually, which is so foolish, like shame on me. It was my thought and belief that I needed to have like 10,000 followers on Instagram. And I have done collaborations with brands in the past, but I just thought that if I don't have 10,000 followers, I shouldn't reach out to companies. And actually the past couple of days I spent pitching and I've already gotten some responses back, but I never thought that I could make a lot of, and even still with I love doing the photography aspect of it, so I would never stop doing my Instagram, but I would still heavily focus on my blog, because the thing that I love about having a blog, which I'm sure you love about having a blog, is that people are going on there and they're looking for a very specific answer or question. So when I see someone reading my guide to 4 days in Puerto Rico, and I see they're spending a lot of time on that article and they're clicking through the links and everything, and it just makes me feel so good that I'm like, I'm providing value to someone and I'm helping them travel better and having a really great experience while they're doing it. It's like I kind of did the hard work for you, so you could just go there and like just have an amazing time. So that's, I think, what means the most to me, where I get the most enjoyment out of, I guess, of everything I do, is knowing that I'm helping someone else have a great experience. I love the Instagram, and this year is the year that I plan to really scale it, focus on it, and work with some brands that align with my values. But it's the blog where I get the most pleasure out of knowing that I'm helping people.
That's awesome. And I think anything that you have a passion for in general in life, like, you don't have to stay in your corporate job that you hate. If you don't like what you're doing, find something that you're passionate about. It doesn't have to be Traveler. Like, that's just what Sam took. And, just go with it. Like, find ways to kind of knead into it and get into it and just explore it a little bit more. And I think that passion will show through, and people are attracted to that passion, right? People can probably read right through your blog and be like, wow, like, she really cares about what she's putting in here and what she's trying to relay to me. So I love that, like, and you can hear it in your voice right now, like how passionate you are about like helping people, which is awesome. And I mean, I get that same feeling when I'm posting my YouTube videos and like someone comments and they're like, oh my God, this was so cool. Like, oh, this inspires me to do something. I'm like, oh, like,
I know, it's like,
I'm so happy. Like, and it's just like, like that's payment. That's payment for me. Like I feel like I have been refilled pay wise for my hard work, whether I'm paid dollars or not. So I think it's just the more good that you can put into the world and like with your passion and what you're doing, the better the world will be at the end of the day. And you're helping people too, whatever that might be. So I just love like the whole aspect that you had this corporate lifestyle and you were like, I'm not feeling it. And you're like, enough is enough. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to go back to something that you don't like when you had like that little bit of an opportunity to just take it and run, right?
I know. Yes, definitely.
So what do you see kind of as the future for like what you're doing? Is it just like building the blog? Like what is kind of the next step for you in the wanderer aspect or just, outside of the corporate world?
So as we spoke a little bit offline, I do plan to do a little bit of YouTube. I'm trying to get into some video. I actually am usually very nervous on camera, and I even doing Instagram stories, I'm like, do people really care what I'm doing today? Like it would always be scenery. Like video is not necessarily my forte, but I am all about stepping out of your comfort zone. So every chance I get, I try to step out of my comfort zone. And I do plan to build the blog, and I sell my Instagram Lightroom presets, so that is something that I do. And in the future, I do think of other ways that I could continue to make this a lifestyle for me, where I could financially continue to do what I'm passionate about, and that could be in helping with other guides that I might put together, whether it's like an SEO course or different things that I wish that I had when I started blogging, and ways that I could help people. A lot of that information I actually give out for free on my website. Like if you wanted to know about SEO, I give you 11 SEO tips. So I give out a lot of that information for free, but it's something that I am thinking about.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job. Like you really are. So don't even worry about it. I think you're going to do awesome on YouTube, and like your pictures are phenomenal, guys. If you guys have an Instagram, what are you doing? Go follow her at Find Love Travel and go check out some of her pictures. Like amazing, beautiful.
Thank you, Lucie. I'm very into photography, and it's taken me a long time to get my photos to that point. And if anyone ever has any questions with photography, I am more than happy to help. Go into my DMs. I'm always full of free information. I rather help people than anything else.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that you brought up earlier too, with the fact that you kind of delved into a new community, right, on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really great topic to bring up. Like, no matter what you're doing, if it's like for your passion, you're trying to leave the corporate world and get into something, there's a community somewhere that can relate to you and that you can get advice from. I know that the traveler community for me has been like huge. I have met so many people through the traveler community on multiple platforms. Mainly it was Instagram before. Now it's Clubhouse because I'm obsessed with that. That's where I even met Sam, guys. Like, and it's super cool to be able to connect with people that do what you do and are just as passionate with you, and like you can get advice from them. So I think I want to encourage anybody who has ever thought to like leave their job that they hate, to just go out there and just give it a shot, right? Do you have any advice for people that like what was your biggest challenge with you leaving the corporate world and getting into, what you're doing?
I'll be honest, before I left, I was crying. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? Am I making the right move? Because I went to college, I got a degree, and it's like, I'm taking this time off. Will I be able to go? Because I'm thinking like, am I going to be able to get a job again? This is my thoughts. And we were very fortunate. It was in a sense a calculated risk. I wouldn't necessarily just say, you know what, I'm going to be an Instagram influencer and I'm going to start a blog and I'm just going to quit my job. I only have $10 to my name, but I'm going to make it happen. I wouldn't necessarily.
Wait, you wouldn't say that? No? $10 isn't enough to become an IG star? Dang. Darn, I had $15. Is that okay?
I wouldn't necessarily go that way. We did it was a very calculated risk. I mean, I had Excel sheets with my budget and how much money we had in case of X, Y, and Z happen. So it was calculated in the sense that if we failed, we would have a cushion until we figured out our next move. But I would just say, don't just, if you just do your research, be strategic about it. If you want to make it happen, I truly believe that if you want to make something happen, you can. Like, I truly believe that, but make sure that you do the research behind it, which is the one thing my husband never likes to do. Like, it's like, did you do the research? Like, what are the steps to have X, Y, and Z? So for me, I'm very research based. Like, what's the research behind this? So do the research and see, because another thing is, once you, like, if it were travel, let's just say, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you decide that you want to do travel full time and this is the way you want to make your business. Mm-hmm. It's no longer a hobby per se. It is a full-time job. And I start my morning at 8 a.m. in the morning, and I'm doing blogging work and this and that and Instagram and TikTok, because all these new platforms just keep coming out. And it's like 10 o'clock. I haven't even eaten dinner yet. So it's like, that's something to think about as well. It's like, it's no long, if you're working with a hotel, you're there to shoot content for the hotel. You're not just like hanging, what you see on Instagram, everybody's like, I'm hanging out by the pool, I'm drinking. It is not like that at all. Like, you are there to work and produce. So just also think of that.
Yeah. So and there's balance that comes with that too, of course, like take your time to work and then take your time to enjoy your margaritas.
Yes. There's still time to do it, but just remember, you're now there for a job. You're not there for vacation.
And that mindset switch is, I think, a really big thing for people, because I think no matter what you're doing, if you're ever trying to go out on your own as a business, no matter what it is, that mindset that you have to have self-discipline and understand like what you need to do to be able to produce the results that you want, and not think that it's just going to like come free and willy-nilly to you. Like, you got to still put in work to get to where you want to be. It's just about how that's happened, or how that shift is happening. And I think that it's hard for a lot of people, because a lot of people are used to having a boss, right? A boss that tells them, hey, you need to do this, this, and this to hit your goals. Mm-hmm. But now you're your own boss, and you've got to be like, hey, I've got to do this, this, and this to hit my goals. Mm-hmm. And something that someone said, actually my guest last week, Katie, she had mentioned one thing that kind of resonated with me, that she said resonated with her, was that you can always find another job. You can always come back home. You can always go back to something, right? Like, if you really feel like you made a wrong decision or whatever it might be, you can always go back. And, you had mentioned that one of your biggest challenges was that you felt like, oh, am I going to be able to get a job, or whatever it might be? Mm-hmm. And you will be able to go get a job. And I think that my travel helped me get my job. I have a full-time job, and it helped me get my job. They were impressed by it. They were like, oh, you backpacked Europe and you did a study abroad, and like, what? Like, they were impressed by it, because that's something that people are actually like admire, that like, one, you have the confidence to be able to try something out new, and two, like, you wouldn't have been able to know if that was going to succeed or work unless you actually try, right? Like, it's just one of the, like, you can't. It's just like when people are talking about starting on YouTube, and it's like, you can't start on YouTube if you never post a video.
It's so true. It's so true.
Oh, it's so funny. What a great conversation. And anybody, if you guys are watching and you guys have any questions for Sam and how she went from the corporate world to wanderer, or just like leaving her corporate job and fully going into this internet space, I guess you could call it, of making money, please feel free to drop a comment and leave a question, and we'll be happy to answer it. We've had such a great conversation. And do you have any I guess if comments come in, and we'll address those, but like, do you have anything that you kind of like want to, I guess, wrap it up with?
Just go out there and live your dreams. I
love
remember
it.
life is short, and if you're not, you never know what tomorrow is going to bring. Be calculated about it, but remember that like tomorrow might not be there, and just make sure that at the end of the day, you could say that you're doing something you love, it could be as simple as I want to take 10 extra minutes to play with my dog today.
Yeah.
Like, or I want to have 15, like an hour extra to spend with my family. It doesn't have to be, I quit my job so I could go travel the world. Like, it could be anything. Just make sure that the end of the day that you did something that made you feel good or proud.
Absolutely. True words were never spoken right there. Thank you, Sam. And, I tell that to people all the time. I say, especially us living here in the US, we work to live. We don't live to work.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are living to work, I don't know what, okay, that's your choice. But I mean, I don't believe I was put on this planet to just like work away my life. Here in America, the average is actually 33% of our life is spent working.
Mm-hmm.
And like probably the other 33% is, sleeping. So, and then the other 33% is left up to us. But like you really got to be passionate about what you're doing. And I just love all of what you're doing. And I cannot wait to see how much you grow. I'm happy to call you a friend, and just to see how much your blog does, and to see you launch your YouTube channel. Thank you.
It's on my list.
Yeah.
I have, if I were to actually show you, I have like Post-its everywhere. I have like listed, like I have my goals. Everything is like just all behind this computer screen.
That's how I know we're cut from the same cloth, because it's the same thing on my wall. I have plenty of Post-it notes. I'm like, okay, reminder of this, this, and this, and this. So I love that. All right. So guys, if you guys are watching, Sam left the corporate world to become a wanderer and just do something that she is truly passionate about. She does have a blog called Find Love and Travel. So you guys should go check out her blog, check out the description of this video, learn a little bit more about her. Go follow her on IG at Find Love Travel. Her beautiful, IG worthy, definitely IG worthy photos. And connect with her if you have any questions, as well as you can always drop a comment here, even after the live or whatever it might be, and we will answer them and make sure that they're answered. I want to ask you one last question, Sam. This is one question that I ask to every single person who comes on to my live. I know it gets a little deep. All right. So, but I think I'm excited to hear what you say.
Water for this.
Everyone always answers differently, so it's always great to hear. So, how has travel changed and impacted you?
Oh my God, deep one right there. So I would say when I traveled around Southeast Asia, it was the first time that I really experienced culture shock, starting off in Thailand. And travel, for one, it made me appreciate actually what the US, because I'm always like, oh, I don't want to be in the US. Like, I want to live here. I want to live there. I want it there. But it really did make me appreciate just the fact that I'm able to drink clean water out of my faucet. I mainly am a vegetarian, and it was like, I have to watch what I eat. So it was just like the fact of being able to have clean water, that I just realized how appreciative I was that I turned on my shower and that could be clean water for someone to drink, that other countries unfortunately don't have that opportunity. And even the same with like waste management. When we were in the Nusa Islands in Bali, where they don't have like a garbage dump type of thing. So there's a huge pile of plastic bottles and everything that's all being ready to be burned, because unfortunately they just do not have the resources to do that. So it made me so much more appreciative of what I actually have. And another thing that I learned is just like being immersed in culture, like when you travel, especially when you're going to places that aren't the norm, like the Caribbean,
yes,
here, and people are like, oh, you're going to go there, be careful, be safe. Like, you're going there, and you just, the people, you meet so many amazing people, and being able to immerse in different cultures and like see, like I went to every temple and I'm not a religious person, but I went to every single temple, every church, just to like immerse in that culture. It's just amazing to meet so many people from all over that have different values, and everyone is so kind. There's a couple of bad eggs here and there, but in general, anywhere I've gone, people are so welcoming, and it's amazing to see that kindness is universal.
Oh, I love that. And I love that everybody always has like a different way that they describe it, but that's so true. And I really think that travel is the key to connecting different communities and making sure that we all understand each other just a little bit better. Because if you never meet someone else from another country, how can you ever know how they live or how they experience life? If we're just stuck in our bubble our whole lives, and we never branch out and see anything further, then that's all we're ever going to know, when there's so much more out there. So I love your answer. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thanks for giving a little deep with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and we actually have someone in the audience who said that they checked out your website and they like the layout and the information. It's a great website and they wish to see it all. So I'm glad that we got some people in there that are checking it out and seeing how awesome your blog is and all the amazing information that you have in there.
Oh, thank you so much. And I do have like a blogging social media section where if you're interested in learning how to blog, SEO, Pinterest, I have to update. So don't look at the Pinterest, because Pinterest has changed a lot of algorithm things that I need to go in there and update. But I do have resources on whether you're interested in travel itineraries and things to do, or most photographic places, or you're interested in learning how I became a blogger, and that's there for you too.
Awesome. I love that. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Sam, for sharing all of your knowledge. And if you guys are just tuning in now, make sure you guys go rewatch this, because it was some great information that we talked about from Sam leaving the corporate world and just doing what she's passionate about. I think that there's some great information just that will hopefully inspire anybody who watches this to, maybe take a leap of faith if they're ready, if they have researched, as Sam says. And make sure that you guys go find her on Instagram at Find Love Travel, and check out her blog, findloveandtravel.com, as well as follow me on Instagram at The Traveling Lucie, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, which is The Traveling Lucie. Surprise. But I do host this Travel Tip Tuesday every Tuesday with a new guest, and we talk about travel in some way, shape, or form. Just trying to inspire people that, hey, it's not as hard as you may think to travel. There are so many different ways to travel, so many different facets. And if you guys ever have any questions or topics that you would like me to cover, drop me a comment, let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And again, thank you so much, Sam, for coming on and sharing your wealth of knowledge. I really enjoyed having you as my guest tonight.
Thank you so much, Lucie, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And I will see you guys again next week for another rendition of Travel Tip Tuesday. Have a great night, guys. Bye.
Bye.